Folks, nobody wants my condo. I'll explain what I mean and then get into the latest home prices and insights for condos across the GTA for week ending October the 1st, 2025. If you want to speak directly with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. It's condo market. It's got a whole bunch of people wondering what's going on. We had a bunch of condo listings throughout the course of the summer. I'll use one specifically as an example where when we first listed it, those first few weeks, we had a few showings. And then a 3-week period went by. It was almost like somebody had turned off the tap and showings just stopped. And for about 3 weeks or so, nothing, not one showing, no inquiries. It was quiet. Think about it from our seller's perspective, thinking, what's going on? We had a bunch of showings, no offer. Now nobody's coming to see it. It's impossible to sell my condo like this. Nobody wants my condo. And then after that, we had a showing after that 3-week of quiet, one showing, and that showing put in an offer. And then as we registered that offer to let everybody know who's seen the condo, hey, we have an offer. I get a call from an agent saying, hey, Santo, I see you got an offer. We're going to be submitting one today also. And for the life of me, I couldn't remember, had to go into the records. When did that guy see the condo? Because it was just quiet for 3 weeks and it was one of the very first few showings. And this person waited all this time to finally decide they're also going to put an offer. So from nothing to now having 2 offers on our condo. We see this also from the buyer's perspective. With our condo buyer clients, we're looking at condos when it first gets listed. And then months later, I'll get a notification that there's an offer. I'm thinking, when did I go see this? I've got to go look in the system. Man, I saw this 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And next thing you know, there's another notification of an offer. So here's a condo that's been on the market 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, nothing. And then there's an offer, and then there's another offer. And when I go and look at some of the history there to remember, when did I go see this? I can also see nothing's changed with that condo after all this time. This is what we're seeing right now in the market. It's a bit crazy, and it could have sellers thinking, nobody wants my condo. And it's true for some. The layout is just terrible, or the location is just terrible. Like for some condos, you're thinking right. Nobody wants your condo. However, for many others, we see buyers are out there, but they're not jumping to make the first move. A lot of the buyers believe that if they wait, prices will be better. And the only thing that screws up that plan is somebody else putting an offer on that condo. And then it causes the other buyers who liked it to stop waiting and actually put in an offer. And that's why we're seeing condos that can be sitting out there for a long time get 1 offer, 2 offers, sometimes 3 offers, and you're wondering, what happened? What's changed? Well, buyers got triggered by another buyer putting in an offer, but those other buyers liked that unit from the very beginning. They just were playing the waiting game. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. And if you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. Now, let's get into the numbers. Folks, this show is all about condos. Before I get into our regular programming though, I do want to bring up a slide. I did talk about this in yesterday's show when we talked about the freehold market for the city of Toronto. In case you missed it, and just in case you only watched the condo show, this chart's about power of sales. Let me explain what's happening here. So the blue, those are power of sales that have been listed a year ago. The orange, that's this year. So for September, the full month, 220 power of sale properties were listed. This is for all the GTA, for all home types. So 220 were listed. And when we compare January to September last year versus January to September this year, power of sale listings are up 71%. That's a huge climb from last year to this year. And last year's power of sales were much higher than the previous year's sale. So power of sales has really changed over the last few years. It's a big increase. Let's look at condos just for the city of Toronto. Let's look at some more historical data. We're not going back years and years, just 4 or 5 years that I have on the board here. For September, and Septembers are all highlighted in black. September this year, 940 condo apartments were sold in the city of Toronto, which is a little bit higher than the previous year, which is also higher than the previous year before that, 2023. And it is a little bit higher also than September 2022. It's much lower than September 2021, but September 22 sales for this September are higher. We've had the most sales we've seen in condos over the last 3 years. Average sold price is $681,000. So it is up from August, not by a ton, but it is up. And when we kind of look back, the peak is over here for February, March 2022. But when we look at September 2022, average price every September has been lower. And if we compare to last year, we're currently 3.8% lower than September 2024. We're 7% lower than September 2023, 11.5% lower than September 2022. We are 18% lower than the peak pricing. It's about $150,000 lower than peak pricing. But if we compare, say, to 2019, where this chart only goes to 2021, if we compare to 2019, current average sold price is 7% higher. So, I do quick math when somebody says, yeah, I bought in 2022, I bought in 2023, I bought in 2024. I'm thinking of selling. Quick math, I'm already thinking they're losing money. We know overall prices are down. Now, there are exceptions to that rule, but generally speaking, that's what's been happening with condo prices just for the city of Toronto. Let's look at condo apartments the way we normally do on this show, broken down by week. So for week ending October the 1st, 172 condo apartments were sold in the city of Toronto. 20 of those sold at $1 million or more. That's up. 20 is a big week for, I guess, more expensive type condo selling. And 172, that's also a fairly strong week when it comes to sales. We're not really seeing a drop in sales at all. Average sold price has kind of been hovering over the last few weeks. It's currently at 693, and we've been in that I guess hovering mode around in the high 600,000s for a few weeks now. Overall, prices of condos are down, but lately kind of sitting in the high 600,000. 693,000 is 1% lower than the same week a year ago. The median price of 592,000 is 2% lower than the same week a year ago. The dotted line, that's a 4-week moving average, and it kind of averages out. When I've said the last few weeks we were hovering around the high sixes, overall it's actually trending up over the last few weeks. 172 sold. Only 16% sold at list price or more. We're seeing fewer listings. Active listings were climbing. They've come down this week. And months of inventory sitting at, still in a buyer's market, sitting at 7.3. That's the whole city though. If we break this city down into 9 different sections and we say the whole city months of inventory is 7.3, well, that changes for neighborhoods, right? Etobicoke 7.4, Rexdale 10.7, Scarborough 8.5. But let's focus on the Yonge Street corridor. So we got downtown, midtown, uptown. This section here accounts for 65% of all condo sales across the city of Toronto. And just downtown on its own accounts for 34% of all condo sales across the city of Toronto. So more than a third of all condo sales is concentrated downtown. Months of inventory downtown is sitting at 6.9. So downtown is outperforming the whole city of Toronto, which I don't say that very often. Usually it's downtown is leading to city of Toronto underperforming, but here's where we are now. Looking at condos, we're going to break it down a little further for you. We're looking at 1 bedroom, and that includes 1 bedroom plus a den. 78 of those were sold. Average sold price is $548,000. It seems since July, sometime mid-July, average sold price for the 1 bedroom condos has been trending up a little bit at a time. Not aggressively, but prices seem a little bit stronger there. Compared to last year, $548,000 is 7% lower. Here's 2 bedroom condos, and this includes the 2 bedroom plus den. 74 of those were sold. Average sold price, it's a little bit up and down quite a bit. That's average sold price is $806,000. $806,000 is 4% lower than the same week a year ago. Months of inventory for the 1 bedroom, 6.9. For the 2 bedrooms, 7.9, and there's a difference in average sold price of about $258,000. It's a big difference. Here's the prices of condos broken down by price per square foot, and the categories I'm breaking it down in is not by bedroom, but the categories, the square foot categories you would find on the MLS system. The most amount of sales fall within 600 to 699 square feet. 34 of those were sold. This is the same category last week and most weeks that we see the most amount of sales in. And these are mostly 1 bedroom and 1 bedroom plus den condos. Some of them are 2 bedroom condos, but mostly 1 bedroom plus den. Coming in at a close second is the 7 to 799, and then just over 1,000 square feet. And when we look at cost per square foot, there's no category there that is selling at $1,000 a square foot or more. And I say this every time I bring this up. Lots of people that are closing, lots of buyers closing on their condos that bought pre-construction years ago that are closing last year, this year, next year. They paid much more than $1,000 per square foot, but this is what they're selling for now. Let's look at York Region condos. For week ending October the 1st, 27 were sold. No condo sold at $1 million or more. Sales, even though the previous week we had high sales of 49, sales kind of seem like they may be starting to taper down. Average sold price is definitely headed in one direction so far. Average sold price is $599,000. Average sold price is trending down for York Region condos. Compared to last year, $599 is 9% lower. The median price of $583 is 5% lower. 27 were sold, 22% sold at list price or more. We're seeing fewer listings, active listings. We're kind of not moving, just under 1.1, but we've seen a drop this week. And months of inventory climbed to 9 months of inventory. Here's Peel region condos. So it's all Peel region, but the vast majority are being bought and sold in Mississauga. For week ending October the 1st, 20 condo apartments were sold. One sold at $1 million or more. We're seeing fewer sales there. Average sold price, still way down from where we were previously in the year. But since the fall, average sold price, well, the fall, since the beginning of September, average sold price seems to be making a run for it. Average sold price looks like it's climbing up. We're now sitting at $580,000. $580,000 is 3% lower than the same week a year ago. The median price of $531,000 is 6% lower. 20 were sold. A quarter of those, 25%, sold at list price or more. We're seeing, I was going to say fewer listings, but we had the 1 week, September 10, where listings climbed, and then 139, 138, 136. So yeah, you could say fewer, but just by 1 or 2 per week. So really, there's not much change there. Active listings, we're hovering just under 1,100, 1,087 or so. They're a little bit lower this week. And months of inventory climbed. We're now at 12 months, a year worth of inventory based on the current sales that we're doing. Here's a quick summary. Slice it and dice it however you want. There's a lot of condos for sale, lots of high months of inventory. It's pretty much a buyer's market wherever you go. For sure, there's exceptions, but overall, lots of condos to choose from. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.